Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, the longest name in gaming, definitely seems like a step back for the Call of Duty franchise, but is that a bad thing? And I want to discuss that today because there are some things that were changed and removed that I don't necessarily see as totally negative. Remember, as always, before we start the video, if you do enjoy, to leave it a nice, thick, and juicy like. And if you want more videos just like this one, because I'm going to be covering games like Call of Duty Cold War, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Cyberpunk 2077, and many others, then make sure you hit that big red sexy subscribe button so that you don't miss a single video. So let's talk about Black Ops Cold War. Why are they taking things away? Is it a bad thing? What is downgraded? What is upgraded? What was downgraded but is actually an upgrade? Let's talk about it. So going back to the initial kind of leaks about this game, you kind of start to see a string of controversies and potential infighting with the development. Of course, when the first kind of leaks came out, it was all about how Sledgehammer was getting pulled off the game and they weren't going to be making Call of Duty games anymore, and then Treyarch was brought in to finish their particular project, maybe get it out even a year early potentially. And I definitely think that that is being seen with what we see in the trailers and in the gameplay and what the content creators that are larger than myself are putting out there. You see, some of the things that they took away I don't see as necessarily a bad thing. When Modern Warfare came out last year, it offered a bunch of new mechanics, such as mounting, tactical sprint, an awesome new gun bench, this insane level of graphics and graphical fidelity and audio design, and everything just felt like it was a huge refresh for the series, that Call of Duty was going in a new direction and they were finally innovating again. Well, that was all well and good until people started to hate some of the mechanics. Now, not all the mechanics I just listed were hated. I think probably the one that people liked the least was the mounting, because it promoted a much more campy style of gameplay, as well as the sound design being something that promotes a bit more campy gameplay with very loud footsteps at times, and other times just completely silent footsteps. Well, Black Ops Cold War seems to be fixing some of those. Mounting and tactical sprint are two big ones that are not coming to Black Ops Cold War, and while I will miss tactical sprint a good bit, I really couldn't care less if mounting ever came back to one of these games again. It just didn't really do a whole lot in terms of adding anything positive to the gameplay. Sure, it was nice every once in a while for tactical purposes in order to kind of hold a corner if you're in a much more kind of objective-based mode, but overall it really just added to the campiness in the game. Now, as far as the audio goes, audio was of course extremely controversial in Modern Warfare. Now, the guns and everything sounded great, the maps felt very alive and immersive, and the way you pull the trigger on your M4 and it just pops like you really feel like it should. It sounded incredible. The way that it sounds when you actually hit somebody sounded incredible. Well, that was all kind of taken away by the terrible footstep audio that promoted, again, a much more campy playstyle. And I'm sure you're starting to see a theme here, and that's that a lot of the mechanics they're removing are in order to stop a campy playstyle. And you'll notice that as well in the map design. The map design is a little bit more of that older style Call of Duty map design, where it's much more of an emphasis on 3-lane style maps. And again, I'm sure that's to help reduce the amount of camping that's going on. Modern Warfare tried to kind of open things up a little bit, and in doing so, you have things like the famous safe space interview where we learned that there's safe spaces in Modern Warfare's map design. And overall, that was not fun for a lot of people to hear, but it was also really not fun when you actually get into the game and there's just endless campiness from people, no matter which mode you're in. Honestly, that's why Shoot the Ship is such a popular playlist, because you really can't camp all the time in those game modes. It's much more fast-paced in Modern Warfare. It's really the only way I can enjoy that game, as I'm sure you've seen in some of the videos that I made about Call of Duty before. It's just that or hardcore I can enjoy. Now, one other thing, of course, is SBMM, and I haven't heard for sure how skill-based matchmaking is going to work in this game, or if it's even there. We all know that there was quite the controversy around Modern Warfare in dealing with skill-based matchmaking, which sounds good on paper, but how it's going to be implemented into Black Ops Cold War, I have no idea. Now, if you don't know my full thoughts on skill-based matchmaking, then you should probably follow me on Twitter, and it's probably a video I may just go in depth with one day, but just to kind of give you my thoughts of how I hope they do it in this game is just to have an unranked public playlist where you can go in and it's based on connectivity. So you have whoever the best ping is around you, you play with the people like that, and it's somewhat random. You're going to need some kind of matchmaking service, but not something that's taking your last 4 or 5 matches and matching you based off of your KD and that, so you don't have people reverse boosting and all that. Just something so that it's a bit more casual and a bit more fun, because a lot of people do enjoy that. And then you can have a ranked playlist for people who do want to sweat it out, because I have heard of people who enjoy SBMM because they want to sweat it out and get better. But the problem is, in Modern Warfare, you can't tell when you are getting better. Unless, of course, you play with a friend who you know is better and you end up in lobbies with him and the people he's matched with are just really good, and then you just never get that sense of progression outside of a situation like that. And I think that's a big deal in terms of getting better with this game, and why a ranked playlist matters so much is people want to feel themselves getting better. You have no idea if you're just constantly going 12 and 12 or 20 and 20, depending on the mode you're playing. You have no idea. You don't know if you're getting better, if you're playing against terrible players or good players. In Modern Warfare, you really can't feel that. You have no idea if you're improving or not. And that's kind of an issue when part of this game is, of course, wanting to see how you improve. So I know I kind of went on a little bit longer than I wanted to with SBMM, but those are my thoughts. Just do public and ranked and unranked, however I say it. Now let's talk about Warzone, because I feel like that kind of wrapped up my thoughts on the regular 6v6. I think if you enjoy Warzone now, you're going to keep enjoying it. Warzone definitely seems like it's going to stay on its solid path. It's its own standalone game, and of course it's extremely popular with a lot of people for many reasons. And honestly, a lot of the mechanics that people didn't like in Modern Warfare definitely seem like they're intended for Warzone. Now, the only issue that I've seen brought up, and there definitely seems to be a solution to it, is Warzone is on one particular engine and Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War is on a different one. So how are assets from that game going to be moved over to Warzone? How can we have the shared progression that they say we're going to have? And while I think it's a complex process, I definitely think it's possible. You see, Black Ops Cold War is technically on part of the Modern Warfare Warzone engine, but it also has a mix of the Black Ops 3 engine, I believe, and then I think there's a little bit of another one in there. And so I'm pretty sure all they're going to do is just build assets that are in Black Ops Cold War, and they're just going to build the same thing again in the Warzone engine and just move it over that way. So essentially you're going to have 2 assets for the price of one when you do actually buy those. Now, how Activision's going to scummy that up and try to charge for it, I have no idea, but I'm pretty sure that's how it's going to work. Now, again, I think Warzone is going to remain relatively the same, aside from possibly a new map or an 80s style kind of skin over the current map. Other than that, I think mechanically, visually, audio-wise, it's going to remain pretty similar. Now, hopefully they deal with the cheaters, but it is what it is for now. Now let's get into the kind of nitpicky stuff, and that's going to be the user interface. I find the user interface from what we've seen so far in Black Ops Cold War to be pretty simplistic, and it doesn't seem like it fits in with that kind of dirty, gritty, go behind the lines type of theme to it. It looks very clean, very simplified, very almost nice. Like, it just doesn't have that vibe in the same way that Modern Warfare's user interface. It felt like it belonged in that game. This game, it just doesn't look like it belongs in this style of game. It looks like it belongs in one of the futuristic Call of Duties in a way. It just looks too clean cut to be some kind of 80s Cold War spy flick type of user interface, if you know what I mean. It just, I don't know, it doesn't give me the right vibes. Of course, it's subject to change. The game hasn't come out yet. So I just don't think it fits in with the overall theme and the vibe that I want to see from this game, and that can play an impact on certain people. Now, of course, the menu doesn't matter all that much in regards to things like gameplay and all that. It's just, again, it's one of those nitpicky things. And then, of course, there's the gun bench. Now, like I said, the user interface I do not like, and I definitely think the gun bench visually is a downgrade in this game, but in terms of how it functions, it seems like it's actually really, really good because it tells you exactly the changes that you are making to your weapon at that time. It gives you the exact percentage of what you are changing, and it doesn't seem like there's any kind of hidden changes like they had in Modern Warfare where you put on a certain attachment and it's just worse in another regard that it didn't even tell you about. Hopefully that's just gone for good. I don't know why that's a part of Modern Warfare or why that's a thing at all, but it is. So functionality, I'll take any day over looks. The gun bench in Black Ops Cold War definitely seems like it functions a bit better than Modern Warfare's, even though it doesn't look as good. I'd say overall for Black Ops Cold War, I am pretty mixed. Some of the changes I really, really like, and I like that they're going a bit more for practicality as opposed to flash. But at the same time, some of those things that were there for flash, such as the audio design of the guns and the tactical sprint, I would have liked to have seen those come back. Those definitely feel like they were fine how they were. Again, the gun audio, I don't know why that is kind of downgraded. That could be in part due to what I said at the beginning of the video because they kind of had to rush this game. But a lot of the guns that are going to be in this game are also in Modern Warfare. So why do they not have the sound design for it? I really don't know. It's just one of those things, I guess. But again, I'm pretty mixed on this game. It looks like gameplay wise, it could be quite fun. I'm definitely interested in the combined arms mode, and of course everybody already loves Warzone, so I'm interested to see what they do with that. We'll see more as we get closer to launch, and then of course there is the beta. Like I said earlier, I'm very interested to try the beta. Luckily, I have a PS4, so I will get to try it a week early with all the other PS4 guys out there. So get our hands on it, get a little dirty, see how that goes. Hopefully it's a fun time, but of course I will let you know. So if you don't want to miss that, make sure you hit that big red sexy subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next video.